YouTube was founded in 2005, and for its first several years, people posted on it with no rhyme or reason. That is, until 2008, when YouTube entered its first of 7 eras, each of these eras being represented by one of the 7 deadly sins. But as of 2026, we're officially out of the 7th era. So how are things looking for number 8? Well, to understand that, we need to experience the different eras, and how each era's sin caused its collapse. Believe it or not, on April Fools of 2008, YouTube made every featured video on the homepage load into a Rickroll, which I think just encapsulates the innocence of these early days. I mean, isn't that just so silly? It truly was a time of no faults. A time when people were on YouTube just for fun. No stakes, no pressure, uploading whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted. That is, until money got in the way, or so anyone reminiscing on this era would have you believe. But actually, monetization was added in 2007, and that wasn't a bad thing. I mean, channels making money is the only reason they were able to continue improving their content and continue making it at all, giving us gems like,
I never thought a tube full of beef would score me so many chicks. You ladies want some beef and go?
Now the funny thing about these old videos is that YouTube scales them up to fit inside the window, but the site actually only supported footage up to 360p. So that clip I just showed you is actually only this big, and for my 4K viewers, it's this big. But as time went on, YouTube supported higher quality footage, and creators had access to higher quality cameras, meaning that in a span of about 3 years, we went from this,
There's always enough to go around,
to this.
Do I look bad in this dress?
hell yeah you do.
This was a time when creators were making the videos they wanted to make, while figuring out how to get people to care about them, and then making them in a specific way to get more people to care about them. Some channels leaned into visual effects to stand out, some channels relied on their personality, and some channels learned how to make the videos themselves sound and look a bit better each time. But pretty quickly, YouTubers started shifting away from being creatives and were slowly becoming pattern recognition machines. And an undeniable pattern showed exactly what kind of thumbnails were getting clicked.
Boobs in a thumbnail, bitch. Put some boobs in a thumbnail, bitch.
Yep. We got into an era of boobs, or honestly, a woman in general, being in the thumbnail, meaning way more clicks. And I've already shown you proof of this. Do you remember the low-quality clip I showed earlier about the beef and go? Well, the only reason that that video has over 100 million views is because of, well, honestly, here, I'll let the Smosh Boys explain it.
It was an accident because at that time with YouTube, you couldn't choose your thumbnails.
Yeah, you couldn't choose a thumbnail for the first 3 years of YouTube. So whatever was the middle frame.
Yeah.
Perfect middle frame.
And it was a censored picture of Britney Spears for JJ.
But with this over-reliance on the female form came a level of audience exhaustion. Many people saw what was going on and knew that creators were trying to trick them into watching. So viewers wanted something different, something that didn't feel like the YouTuber was trying to do tricks to get your attention, which paved the way for the... Imagine recording a 30-minute video of you playing video games, cutting out the starting and stopping of said recording, uploading it, publishing it, and then raking in millions of views. Minecraft, Five Nights at Freddy's, and Slender Man were all the rage. And millions of people who didn't have access to these games could experience them vicariously, or as one of my friends wrote on his actual English final in high school, bi-curiously, through the videos. For anyone who wasn't around during this era, it was kind of like a streamer playing through a game, but there was no chat, no viewer interaction at all, and no liveness. So it was like a live stream, but without all the stuff that makes it enjoyable. And people loved it. This is when we saw the rise of titans like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, and DanTDM. Growing up, I was a massive fan of DanTDM. I built his lab several times in Minecraft, and I used to be able to do a killer impression. My voice is a bit deeper now, so I probably can't anymore, but honestly, I'll see if I still got it at the end of this video. But just because people like me enjoyed it, doesn't mean the content was good. I mean, it got to the point where some YouTubers would screw up an intro, correct it, but then leave the mistake in the video. So you would click on this random Let's Play video with 5 million views and be greeted by, "What's up going on, guys? What's going on, guys?" And then for some reason, you'd still watch the entire video. To give you a bit of perspective, I put a lot of effort into editing my videos, and I lose about 30% of my viewers within the first 30 seconds. And these guys were swimming in watch time. But like the animal, this sin was tame. It was unobtrusive. Something that can't be said about the... Alright, this era basically ruined the public perception of YouTubers for years to come. And a big reason for that was because the pranks weren't played on the viewers like you may expect. They were played on other people. Real people. Because the viewers are sadists that want to see people freak out. But because of how diverse the prank space was, I'm going to cover this era by introducing the heavy hitters, explaining what type of pranks they were known for, and give examples of their most well-known videos. Starting with Roman Atwood. Now this guy did some vicious things. He specialized in traumatizing his family, and I know that may sound bad, but it was hilarious. I mean, how about the time he made his girlfriend think that he killed their young son? Or that time that he made his girlfriend think that he killed their young son? Or the time he told his girlfriend that he cheated on her, only for her to see the cameras and prank him back.
You fucking cheated on me? Are you fucking serious? You're fucking serious right now. You fucking...
I saw you sit on your camera, you idiot!
What?
Isn't that so much fun? Although he's still actively making content, I haven't seen anything from him in like 10 years on my feed. Actually, except that one time when he randomly decided to be transphobic.
Targets the latest and greatest of the transgender stuff.
Yeah, my 5-year-old don't need tuck-friendly garments.
Vitali ZD TV. Vitali was one of the first and definitely most popular public nuisance pranksters, which basically just meant he would terrorize unsuspecting people with a hidden cameraman way out over there. One of these totally epic pranks was the Miami zombie attack prank, which was literally prefaced with a message saying like, hey guys, so recently there was an actual cannibal in Miami that committed an actual atrocity. So let's use that to scare the shit out of some people. But what if you wanted to cash in on this era without putting yourself or other people in danger? Well, that's where Joey Salads and FouseyTube come into play. These guys did manufactured interactions, with FouseyTube being more in line with the typical prank content, and Joey Salads going the route of social experiments. He was basically Darman if Darman wanted to make his videos seem like they weren't staged, and also if he went way harder on the sensational culture war topics. Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter supporters. Social experiment. Black people racist towards white people? Social experiment. Transgender and women's bathroom? Social experiment. Hey, so that's not... You know what? Alright. And because these videos were so cringe and so obviously fake, people wanted the satisfaction of seeing them get called out, which unfortunately enabled the 2 to the 1 to the 3. I like good pussy and I like good trees. Now there are a few interesting things about this era. First off, the channels. Grade A Under A, H3H3 Productions, and Leafy is Here all featured relatively low production value videos, with the sole focus being on criticizing content. And it started out cathartic. I mean, imagine being so fed up with YouTube shoving Joey Salads down your throat until you suddenly see a video criticizing him and his content. Well, that immediately establishes that that creator is willing to stand up for what they believe, but more importantly, they're willing to stand up for what you believe. And this meant viewers were able to turn their brains off and see their criticisms be expressed by another person. But this was also when YouTube's homepage heavily favored recommending the channels you were subscribed to, which meant you would probably watch whatever these channels put out and nod along in agreement. So suddenly, watching these critiques became a habit, a pastime, something you gravitated towards without even thinking about it. But some of them decided to do goofball stuff alongside the criticisms. Like Filthy Frank, or as you may know him, Joji, who was a big player in this time period without ever really having specific targets for his videos besides him or one of his consenting pals. H3H3 and iDubbbz also come to mind for people who made goofball content that was only a little bit super bigoted and hateful.
I have made some cruel, hurtful content, and I need to acknowledge that, and I'm really sorry that it's taken me this long to acknowledge it.
Now, while I'm glad that iDubbbz has matured and moved past all that, I don't really like H3 for obvious reasons. But back in the day, edgy white boys loved him. I mean, what wasn't to like? He had, you know, overt racism. But viewers especially enjoyed the hate. Not necessarily because they're hateful people, but because they felt like the world hated them. So hating someone else made them feel a little bit better about their struggles. And the creators took note, moving away from criticizing content and instead bullying the people making it, which in some cases were children. But why would anyone enjoy watching a child get bullied? I hear you ask. Well, because most of the time, these children were successful. They had done something online or established themselves in some way where they were now getting tons of attention, and the edgelord viewers weren't. This is known as tall poppy syndrome, where people despise those who achieve success, especially if it seems unearned. But all this hateful content and outright bigotry being this popular meant that any company advertising on YouTube ran the risk of having their ads play in front of one of these videos, tying their brand to some dangerous messaging. And this led to a disastrous time, a time even history books hesitate to mention. This led to adpocalypse. YouTube tightened restrictions on monetization, and suddenly videos that were deemed controversial weren't making any money. And so a new wave of rosy-cheeked rule followers led the way to the... In the background of all this YouTube drama, Vine, the popular social media platform featuring 6-second videos, completely collapsed. And all these Vine stars and viewers suddenly had nowhere left to turn. I'm joking. They obviously turned to YouTube. Now initially, their cringy, kid-friendly content was the perfect fuel for the edgelord commentary channels I just talked about. But eventually, the viewers made their choice, and the numbers proved it. YouTube's next big era was here, and it was time to be advertiser-friendly. Except that one time. Big players in this era included David Dobrik, Jake Paul, and obviously...
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment.
During this era, what made a vlog completely changed. We went from Jenna Marbles in her room talking to a webcam to 10 minutes of straight action, adventure, and manufactured conflict. Where vloggers like Casey Neistat thrived because of how well he was able to capture the mundane, the most popular vloggers of this era thrived because they shaped their lives to be as action-packed and entertaining as possible, with fake relationship drama making the audience of mostly children think that they're getting that same authenticity and connection that people got from Casey Neistat's vlogs. But the fake drama got so bad, people made actual diss tracks about each other, which were about as good as you'd expect.
I don't give a
Heck.
Man, I shit in the urinal.
This era also popularized the idea of a content house, because collaborating occasionally simply didn't cut it. They needed to team up. They needed to team 10 up. But sometimes the vlogger wasn't even the star of these videos, and they'd instead vlog their squad. Now, the strategy for these creators was simple. Pay unnecessarily loud people to hang out with you, pay for a bunch of wacky adventures, record said people in said adventures, rest, and repeat. Doesn't that sound like fun? Well, shockingly, it wasn't always. See, these vloggers saw themselves as untouchable directors who could put their friends' lives in danger for a 10-second bit in a video and then pay them extra to not be mad. You know what they say? No risk, no story. Except make sure you only risk, the people that you pay to be around you and shower you with praise, because you're the storyteller. There's no story without you. You can't risk you gotta risk them. But boy, did that risk pay off. I mean, viewers loved seeing these lovable goobers get into all these different shenanigans. And the vloggers loved being surrounded by yes men and sycophants who would join them in seeing color for the first time, finding out who's the most fertile, and filming a dead body.
Logan Paul is in some hot water after he posted a video allegedly showing the body of a person.
Now, posting a video called "So Sorry," in response to the backlash is really funny to me. And it's very telling that he didn't add an "I'm" at the start of the title, because it is a sly way of removing himself from blame, but he is to blame. Followed closely by his editor, who cut that together and was like, "Yep, that's a finished video." Now, as you can imagine, when there's a bunch of prideful douchebags running amok, people want to see them get made fun of. Wait, did we already do this bit? No, because that was 2017, and this is...
I was never taught what laws there are. I was never taught what laws there are.
Oh yeah, criticizing content is back in a big way. Except instead of edgy white boys, we got cozy white boys. So, Yeah, Danny Gonzalez, Curtis Connor, and Drew Gooden pioneered a new version of content criticism commentary. Instead of blatantly attacking people, they were goofy about it, criticizing the broader culture that enabled these trends as opposed to the individuals partaking in them, which was a much more healthy approach. Around this same time, a little-known website called Twitch.tv saw meteoric strides in online spaces. Tons of people began streaming on Twitch while playing video games, doing challenges, or watching other people's content, which could be considered a bit concerning, but surely it's not going to bite Twitch in the ass. Speaking of Twitch and ass, getting discovered on Twitch sucked ass. And a lot of streamers quickly understood that
if you want to grow on Twitch, you need to make YouTube videos.
And with this, the stream highlights meta was born. Boy! But before I get into that, let's check back on the commentary channels.
I am Drew, I am Danny, and we are the same person.
Because of the playful nature, constant collaborations, and actually thought out comedic timing, these commentary videos were easy to watch, sure, but especially easy to binge. And if you ever ran out of one creator's videos, the others were making basically the exact same kind of content. And that endless supply was wonderful because you could have them on in the background, but you could also sit and actively watch several in a row, which was quite convenient because when COVID happened, there wasn't much else to do. I mean, sure, these channels had a bit of overlap in topics, but that was okay. It felt like hanging out with a pal, which is all anyone really wanted, which also helps to explain why streaming got so big. I was actually talking to my friend the other day about fandom and how it gets built. And while I'll talk more about that conversation later, we both agreed that the last time there was a truly engaged fandom was during this era, being the Dream SMP. Now, if you're anything like me, then you hear the Dream SMP and immediately imagine a bunch of cornballs and goobers. Oh, and Technoblade. But this was truly an epidemic online, where entire sub-communities existed within the communities of the different Minecraft YouTubers within this group. People would watch for hours and hours, talk about what they watched for hours, and then go back to watching for hours. I mean, when there's that many creators that are both streaming and making videos on the same thing, it's almost impossible to run out of content to watch. Hey, doesn't that kind of sound like... It got to a point where it had no point. Viewers were watching to watch, consuming to consume, because consuming meant being a part of something. But then the world opened back up, and suddenly people realized that their time was much more valuable. If viewers were going to watch a video, it had to earn their time, which honestly sounds great, until you remember that humans are stupid and easily manipulated.
Mr. B6000.
Alright, look, I don't really need to explain this one. Basically, there was this guy.
I'm Mr. Beast, and I'm gonna spend the next 50 hours buried alive in this coffin.
And he also... And then suddenly Minecraft videos were...
I spent 2,000 hours to get this sword in Minecraft.
And as such, YouTube videos had two different forms. They were either, please just watch this video all the way through. I'm begging you, please. Or, you will watch this. You will not remember any of what you just watched, but you will watch the whole thing and press the like button anyways. Creators stopped creating and started manufacturing. Mr. Beast's team didn't give a shit about the story, they just cared about keeping you watching. Then, when Mr. Beast rises to the top, other creators see his numbers and decide to copy him. And in the economy of YouTube, attention is the currency, so viewers were essentially getting robbed without even realizing it. But Jimmy Beast, the philanthropist he is, wanted to give back. He hosted constant competitions for people to win money, his fans included. If you look at the Beast channel banner, you'll see it says, "Subscribe for a cookie." And that's where the sin comes in. The entire nature of his audience is transactional. People subscribe with the hopes that they'll get a return. People subscribe for a cookie. I bring this up to demonstrate that while the beastification of YouTube proved many creators willing to put out fast-paced garbage in order to make a quick buck, it wasn't a one-way street. Both the creators and the viewers were guilty of... And if you watch this video back, you'll see that the viewers were always the sinners. Every era, every change was guided by the viewer's desires, by the viewer's lust, envy, greed. It was always the viewers. And while that's a little bleak to reflect on, it's actually what gives me the most hope for YouTube's future. Because of how long the Beastification era went on, people are desensitized to the extreme faces, fast-paced edits, and the cash register sound effects. Video essays like this one only exist because people are being more intentional with what they watch, and are also more wary of the tricks creators use. Alright, since we made it to era number 8, before I explain what it entails, I'm going to do the Dan TDM impression I promised. Here's the intro I'm going to be doing for reference.
Hey everyone! Dan here from the Diamond Minecart.
Alright. Hey everyone! Dan here from the Diamond Minecart. Still got it. Still got it. If you remember from earlier, I referenced a conversation I had about fandom, and how YouTube doesn't have the same obsessive, massive fandoms that it once had. But that's just a symptom of the website's growth, and arguably, a good sign for its future. There are so many niche communities on YouTube, so many subcultures within each niche community, and then so many inside jokes within each subculture. It's getting more and more possible to just make videos you want to make, and YouTube will find people to watch them. I've been so grateful for the amount of people who have enjoyed watching the things I make, because these are things I want to make. And if that's not old YouTube, then I don't know what is. Actually, growing up, I was always a bit sad, because the earliest YouTube I remember, besides, glimpses of the Gummy Bear song, is era number 2. I never got to enjoy what many consider old YouTube, but maybe that's a blessing, because it feels like everyone who did experience it is a bit too blinded by nostalgia. Which, if you want to learn about nostalgia and how going back to nostalgic games could actually be making your life harder, well, check this video out right here. Oh, and contrary to popular belief, the MC in my name doesn't stand for Minecraft. It apparently stands for Yikes, my credit card. Comment what you think MC stands for, and I'll feature my favorite at the end of my next video. Thank you so much for watching, subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Deuces.